A botched mid-air heist results in suitcases full of cash being searched for by various groups throughout the Rocky Mountains. Sylvester Stallone's Cliffhanger is up next on Inside Movies. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Inside Movies. This week we're talking about Cliffhanger. This is like one of my favorite Sylvester Stallone movies, so I'm super psyched. And my name is George Michail. I'm a comic book writer, and I am joined by novelist Andrew Buckley, the editor-in-chief and head writer over there at Merc Publishing, Murphey, and writer-illustrator GMB CHOMICHUK. All right, guys. Thanks everyone for joining me, and let's get into it. What's the good? What do we like about Cliffhanger?
You know what's good? The opening death scene is actually quite compelling. I'll give it that. And the helicopter pilot death, like old man pilot, it's also sad when he dies. I was in it. I was back in the movie in those two deaths. Whew, I'm trying. Digging deep.
I really liked the Mountain Bros. I was very sad when the first one found his demise, but I thought they were very fun. And they're apparently incredible stunt drivers that don't need to look at the road even.
They're fun and they like things extreme.
Well, I do really like them. I mean it. I like the Mountain Bros. I thought that they were a fun kind of they were so I guess it was like really they're like the epitome of comic relief. But it was just such a believable thing that, you know, their whole purpose for being out here is to go and like save people that are climbing mountains, and there's these two dudes that just hang out and jump off mountains and wear the most 80s era clothing for a movie made in 93.
I was going to say, Murphy, it is with deep regret that I can inform you that I knew people just like that. Like, they're not even a parody. They are a documentary almost of those kinds of people.
Okay, like the stunts are insane. Like there's all the rock climbing and that plane to plane stunt where he like zip lines from one plane to another plane. That's fucking real. And it's insane. And it was like the most expensive stunt ever made. It's nuts.
It got into
that did look incredible. And I was wondering, it was like, there's no way it was CGI because you would be able to tell. And yeah, I mean, that's I am scared of heights. So this movie was a hard watch for me. I was just like tense. And I did actually I was able to get a little bit out of my shell during that because I was like very like, oh, like, wow, like they're doing it.
The stunts were really cool. That one stunt was ridiculous. There was no safety harness, nothing. They couldn't even shoot it in Europe where they're shooting a bunch of other shit because it was illegal. They had to do it in North America to make it illegal. But I mean, most of the stunts are I don't know, pretty good. This movie gets shit on a lot by actual climbers because a lot of it is like incredibly inaccurate. Like his like bolt gun and stuff isn't like a thing.
Oh, who cares?
Climbers, apparently. And if you make an action movie about climbing, I suppose climbers are gonna, watch it and be like, cool, climbing, and then like, oh, it's not really.
They're good. Like the kills are awesome. Like I know it's basically Die Hard on a mountain, but the way that Stallone goes about like picking these guys off like one by one, when he like takes that guy and like shoves him upward up into the stalactite, like come on, that is like insane. It's so good. Or when he like shoots that guy when he's underneath the ice. It's awesome.
John Lithgow, man. John Lithgow was amazing in this movie. He's like he looks so out of place. Doesn't make sense for him to actually be in this movie, but he just happily just chews through all the scenery and acts like evil John Lithgow. It's super fun.
I've seen evil John Lithgow in Dexter, and that was incredible.
Oh yes,
and
not quite the same.
Well, this was like a decade before that. I mean, come on. It's you can't expect it. This is his first stab at evil John Lithgow. He really perfected it by Dexter.
Like, so that cast, I like the cast a lot. Like,
what? Really?
Yeah, Stallone's great.
Stereotypical British henchman. Yeah, he's great.
Stallone,
he's got all the best lines, the henchman, the English
This
henchman.
movie could have had any main character actor the only reason it was Sylvester Stallone, or maybe because they got Sylvester Stallone, the only reason that he was in this movie was to shove a guy through a rock sticking out of the ceiling. Like, that was
so that he could,
out of nowhere.
somebody somewhere in the writer's room said, ooh, deadlift. What if he deadlifted a guy and then afterwards he was dead?
That's awesome.
And they said, yeah. And what will he hit? Oh, a super brittle limestone protrusion that took thousands of years to form in a cave. That'll be awesome.
One of my favorite quotes.
Are we on the grid? I think what's good about this movie is how much I hate it.
One of my favorite quotes when you talk about like being a writer and working on productions that have like teams, one of my favorite quotes is, the worst thing you can ever hear from your editor is, wouldn't it be cool if? I feel like this is one of those moments.
100%.
I legit love this movie. Like, absolutely love it. Like, I think Stallone is amazing. Like, he's he can write, he can direct, he's a great action star. He gives it his all. And, I believe that he's like really traumatized after, his buddy's girlfriend literally like slips through his fingers. And what a great scene that is too. And they even spoofed it in like Ace Ventura 2. It's like so stupid. But and then John Lithgow's great, and Michael Rooker with hair, and he's great. Like, it's a good movie, man. I feel like we're gonna be very far apart on our grades on this one.
What I like about you, George, is how much I like you, George. But I don't think we'll ever see eye to eye on this movie. I literally look at how long this list of bad things is.
Oh,
I've never made a list in a movie before that we've watched. But fingerless gloves, ties rope to ankle, never ties anything to harness, CGI bats. The only time they actually show a belay in the film, he's not tied to a rope. She's holding the rope, but he's not tied to the rope.
Okay, we'll get into the bat in a second.
Guns, the fake ice. He's never wet. He's always wet in this movie for a scene, and then they show the next scene and he's dry.
It's his body heat.
Shouldn't you have frozen to death like long before? Like, that's a plot point. They literally take his jacket to make him suffer, but he's still only in his t-shirt for the vast majority of this movie on top of a very, very, very cold mountain. It has ice, so we know.
Well, okay, let me say, do you know who could hang on to a cliff for forever, or would have caught that lady and kept her? Someone with a badass set of robot arms. Let's hear about Resilient, George.
Yes. The Kickstarter for Resilient is on right now. Resilient is a story of a judo teacher that loses her arms in a demining expedition in Cambodia. She gets cybernetic prosthetics that she uses to kick ass and do kung fu. She's got to go rescue her man. It's on Kickstarter right now. If this artwork looks cool to you, click the link in the description of this video and go and check out my book, Resilient.
In comparison to the Rambo movies, I think that Sylvester Stallone was actually putting on a good performance in this. Like, it didn't just feel like I was watching Sylvester Stallone. Like, it felt like he was really into it. And I will say, it's not his sort of classic action movie. It's as much about his like climbing ability as it is the action. And I thought that there was a lot more of that. And honestly, I will say, when it comes to Sylvester Stallone, I thought that he did a great job in this role. And this is probably one of his better characters.
It is a Rocky movie. There's rocks everywhere in this film. He's clinging to rocks. He's hanging on rocks. He's shooting the bolt gun into rocks. As long as we're talking about dad jokes right now, the best other line in the movie is the full-on dad joke about like it costs a fortune to heat this place. And then money in the pile.
I did like that one.
Yeah, but that was like full-on dad joke. It didn't have the like ring of late 80s, early 90s one-liners. It was just like awful. Just awful.
All right, it feels like you guys are itching to talk about the bad, so let's get into it. What didn't you like about this?
So we haven't done the bad yet?
It is directed, if I'm not mistaken, by the same person who did direct an excellent film, Long Kiss Goodnight, which we also reviewed. I almost found that out recently. I believe it.
That's true. Same director, Rennie Harlan.
Same director. So it is possible that the subject matter is what I dislike and not the direction. And so I'm talking about bad. Oh, is this some other things? Body sleds, that scene I wrote as being bad.
It's stupid, but it's awesome. He rides that guy off the mountain and then throws the hook and catches himself. It's dumb, but it's brilliant.
I was just so focused on John Lithgow's awful British accent. It was so, and I love John Lithgow so much, and to hate him so much in a role felt wrong. But it felt like this was a schoolyard fantasy, and this was some kids on the playground that were making pretend about, oh, we're stealing this and you're the bad guy, and he was like, oh.
Would you, I don't know if this would make it better or worse for you, Murphy, but apparently it was supposed to be Christopher Walken gonna fly this helicopter. That would have been awesome. Also, can I point out that they make a point, like a plot point. They zoom in and they make it important that the helicopter only has enough fuel to fly down the mountain. And then in the subsequent scenes, it's flying all over the mountain range. It's circling the mountain. It's swooping. And then it explodes like it's full of fuel. I hate this movie, George. I hate it so much.
Well, you have to suspend a certain amount.
Like, why do you need sense? You don't need
sense.
You just need to turn your brain off and enjoy it.
No, there can be action movies that have something good. I mean, we can all, because everybody seems to remembers liking Die Hard.
Die Hard's great.
Right. So what's the difference here? Cliffhanger
exactly.
Was
it's Die Hard on a mountain.
No, it's not Die Hard on a mountain because it doesn't have the same elements attached to it. The stakes aren't the same. We're chasing around for fucking briefcases full of money or something. It doesn't. It's just not as interesting. And this thing was like fraught with story problems. Regardless, like even the writers couldn't agree on shit. There was a bunch of different writers. I think most of them got credited. Half of them sued Paramount or whichever company it was because they didn't want to credit them. So there was a whole out of court settlements that happened around this movie. It was ridiculous.
And I'll also point out something like super dumb as a comparison to Die Hard. Every time Bruce Willis falls down a flight of stairs, jumps through a aluminum, siding, crawls through a vent, his knuckles get nicked, his elbow is torn, he is bleeding like a human. Like, it's ridiculous, but at least he looks like it hurts. Stallone is almost never bleeding in this movie. Not only is he never wet, he's never bleeding, no matter what is happening to him.
And his endurance is something else. That dude can free climb, like sheer cliff faces, and then run through snow at full belt, and then deadlift a dude into a thing to kill him. And he's a machine. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, did you see the training montage in Rocky IV? Like, the guy can go.
Well, so one thing that we kind of touched on earlier that I pushed back is so, number one, so I said before, I'm scared of heights. That opening scene, I was angry that you guys were making me watch this movie, because that opening scene, I was so stressed out. And you know what, honestly, that scene was done very well. I felt the fear. I couldn't believe that she died, that she fell. I understood the pain and he's leaving, all of that. And then when Stallone comes back to town and his ex-girlfriend says, well, why did he even have a girl that could barely climb up there?
Victim blaming.
What? Not even that. He's gonna be pissed off at. I remember Michael Rooker's name was Hal. I can't remember what Stallone's name was for some reason. Yeah. Okay, so this guy that his job is to save people on mountains takes a girl that's not a mountain climber to the top of a mountain called the Tower, and then is pissed off at his friend that tries to save her when she dies.
And he also got hurt on the way.
Yeah, he's the one with the fucked up knee.
Yeah.
And then he's pissed off, talking about how he hates him. This is your fault she died, and we had to do it your way. Yeah, we had to do it your way. Your knee was fucked up. What were you gonna do? I had to come save you here already.
No one can be trusted. I wrote and circled. Every single criminal mastermind in this movie sucks. They lose their shit constantly when the pressure's on. These are heist guys who robbed a plane midair. And then when they lose their money in the snow, they immediately turn on each other. Oh, I hated them so much. They were the worst.
All right, let's get into the skinny. Let's give our final grades for Cliffhanger. I'm going to go first. I'm giving it an A. I love Cliffhanger. I don't think action movies get much better than this. The stunts are insane. The kills are awesome. Stallone is jacked and killing people, and it's dope. If you have not seen Cliffhanger, absolutely go watch it. It's so good.
I give this movie 0 knitted fingers out of 5. That means 1 complete fingerless glove because it's terrible. Don't watch it if you care about anything. Also, why have a belt full of hooks and connectors if you'll never tie anything to them? Oh!
I'm gonna give it 1 radical mountain dude bro out of 2.
Nice.
Yeah. That's it. I have nothing more to say.
I'm going to give it 2 fictional bolt guns out of 5 and recommend that people just go and watch Northern Exposure because it is a great TV show that still stands the test of time.
You guys and your Northern Exposure. All right, that's going to do it for another episode of Inside Movies. The link to the Kickstarter for Resilient is in the description of this video, so click that link and go check out my book. I've been George Michail.
You're the resilient one today, George. You're the resilient one. You put up with us this whole time.
It's tough. I've been joined by novelist Andrew Buckley, editor-in-chief and head writer at Merc Publishing, Murphey, and writer-illustrator GMB CHOMICHUK. Go ahead and follow us along on our Facebooks, our Instagram, our Twitters, all that sort of stuff. And until next time, peace.